everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about a video that I did years ago. It was a video that I talked about the awakening of my Kundalini and how it happened. Well, I'm going to go in more depth about that video. I did take that video down, not because anything was irrelevant of what I was saying. It was that there was pictures and stuff of my past partnership, and I don't want that part of my journey moving forward. And because there was so much woven of my past relationship into that video, I thought it would be best that I redid it. So, and plus you're going to get some information that wasn't in that video that I've experienced further. So if you want to hear the story of my Kundalini awakening, then please keep watching. So it was 2013, and I was in a relationship, obviously, with my ex-partner, and we were living in a condo at the time, and he was feeling like we needed to move. He was kind of a person that always felt unsettled in one place for too long, which is totally different energy than me. And so he was telling me that we need to find a house, a place that we can house all of our equipment and ourselves and the animals, like our dogs. So we had 2 dogs. No, at the time we didn't have 2 dogs. We had only we had the Labrador and 3 cats. So we had Isis, Osiris, and Charlie. Freya came along later, but this is what we had. And we were looking to find a place that we could move into, that have all the equipment, be close to our clients and things like that, because we were living a whole town over and it was a lot of commute. And so I did agree with him that yes, we do need to find a place, but the place that he wanted us to move into, I was not in agreement for. I was not. When we first walked into this house, and I'll insert some photos, I actually got this eerie feeling. And I'm going to tell you something, is when you get that intuitive hit where something doesn't feel right, something feels wrong, please listen to it. Don't make it into a lesson, because 99% of the time when you get that intuitive feeling, if you don't listen to it, it will turn into a lesson. And I will share with you, this one did. And so he ended up convincing me that this is the right place for us. We can house our equipment. It has its own shop. There's a big yard for the dog to play in. It's very close to our clients, like within blocks. So he convinced me, and I was like, okay, we're going to move in. Now, the interesting thing about this house was it had this mid-century modern architecture. It had pyramid roofs in the bedroom, in the study, and even in the upper loft kind of, we had this like upper loft living space, like living area where you could have the TV, a couch, so many fireplaces. It had a fireplace in the bedroom. It had a fireplace downstairs in which was like I don't know, it was like a sunroom kind of thing. So, and there was a fireplace in the study and a fireplace in the upper loft living room thing. We moved in, I think it was about February. So it was very, very cold during this time. And I remember the one thing about this place, it did not have gas. So it was run only on electric. And this house was over 4,000 square foot. And it had, now you know why it had so many fireplaces. That's a little bit about the house that we moved into, which is very, very important part of the story. So we moved into this place, and I started having intense dreams. I was seeing the Hindu god Shiva in my dreams, and specifically his Nataraja form, where it's like the cosmic dance form. And I kept seeing it over and over and over again. And I remember telling my ex-partner, I'm like, I keep dreaming about this. Maybe we could go to like a shop that sells Hindu statues and try to look for a Nataraja statue. And he's like, sure, yeah, we could do that maybe on this weekend. And I said, okay, that would be great, because I think I need this for when we meditate. And so we went looking for Nataraja. Really, really interesting. And I remember we went to one place, and it was completely overpriced. I don't know if the guy just looked at us and was like, yeah, it's $300. But he was like $300 for the statue, and I was like, yeah, no, we're not about to spend that kind of money. I had a budget in mind about maybe about like $60 to $100 kind of thing, and that was kind of my budget. I didn't want to spend like $300, $400 on a statue. So anyways, we went around, and then we got to this place, and they had like Hindu meditation like something about temple meditation, something, and then had like the Om symbol and then different Hindu gods like on the windows. And I was like, okay, maybe we try this place. So we parked and I went inside, and the woman, she was right away intrigued because first of all, we were young. I was in my 20s. And she looked at me and she goes, "What brought you in today?" And I said, "I have been dreaming about Nataraja," and she knew right away because she's Hindu. She said, "Oh, you've been dreaming about Shiva in his Nataraja form." And I said, "Yes, where he's doing the cosmic dance." And she goes, "You know how powerful that is?" She goes, "You must be in a spiritual awakening. You must be on a spiritual awakening journey." And I said, I don't know what that is, but I feel like I was led here to find this statue." And she goes, "Okay, we do have one statue, but unfortunately it's slightly damaged." And I said, "Okay, how damaged is it? Like, can I take a look at it?" And she goes, yeah, I'll bring it out. It's in the back. Please wait here and I'll go get it." And so she comes out, and I have the statue next to me, which actually sits on my mantle most of the time, where it looks at my living room here. This is the statue. And she brings it out and she says to me, she goes, "Yes, it's one of the flames got damaged in shipping." And I looked at it and I said, "I don't care about the damage. I don't care about the damage at all." Because when I was looking at my life, I've had so many ups and downs that to me a little blemish on a statue isn't gonna detour me. And I said, "Okay, how much? How much is it?" She goes, $60. And I said, "Huh, okay, well, that's within my budget." She goes, "Regularly, this is almost close to $200." She goes, "But because it's damaged, I'll give it to you for 60." And I said, "Okay, that's perfect. I'll take it." And she goes, and while she's bringing us up, she's still talking to me. And she says to me, she goes, "So you've been dreaming about Shiva?" And I said, "Yes, specifically in that form." And she stops for a second. She goes, "Okay, I have to give you something. And I need you to promise me you'll always hold on to it." And she's talking to me specifically. And she says, it's a meditation, it's a chanting that I'm not gonna sell to you because I'm not allowed to sell it, but I'm gonna give it to you because it's a gift from me." And she said, "It's for you." And I was like, "Okay." And it's a Shiv Yoga meditation. It's a chant specifically for Shiva. And I'll tell you something. When I do this meditation, even till this day, I don't do it very often. Weird things start happening. Weird things. And I'll go more into that in detail. But she gives it to me, and I go, "Thank you so much." And she goes, "Enjoy your spiritual awakening." So that night we went home. My ex started a fire in the fireplace, and we were getting it all ready. And I put the Nataraja statue so that every time we do our meditations, that he's there. And I think we did this for a course of like a period of time where he would light the fire, and then we would do our meditation and go about our evening, and we'd make tea and talk and all that stuff. But there was one specific night, I remember this like it was yesterday. He did the same routine. We set up the fire. I put the statue closer to us, and we both kind of were doing the meditation facing each other. And I started having visions of him and I in different past lives. And simultaneously, he's having visions of me and Egypt. And he comes out of it and he tells me, he goes, "I'm seeing this eye," and he drew it for me. And I'm like, "Okay." And then we started researching, like, what is this? And I started seeing pyramids. Like, I was walking in the pyramids. And I've always had a recollection of past life in Egypt, but now I'm seeing depth. I'm seeing him there. I'm seeing me there. I'm seeing different things. And he's looking at me. He's like, "I need to draw this picture." So he drew me the Eye of Horus. We didn't have the language for what it was at the time. And then after this meditation, he started having reoccurring dreams of Egypt, and so did I. Meanwhile, we're sleeping under like a pyramid roof. And so I was like, maybe we should go to Whitby's Books and Gifts and ask for a reader. And he's like, "Yeah, maybe we should do that," because he wasn't into getting readings and things like that, but he was just like, something's happening to us. And at that time, we also had a spiritual healer that was doing like Reiki healing, chakra balancing on us and things like that. And we were telling him about what was going on, and he's like, "Yeah, you guys are in the midst of a spiritual awakening. 100% something's happening to you guys." And I was like, okay. And then when we went to Whitby's, she set us up with a reader who actually is a friend of mine now. And I remember my ex went first because I was like, you go first. I'm used to going to readers for years. So he went first, and he like comes out and he's just like, oh my God, it's this Eye of Horus. And he's like, she had a book. Like it was so weird. We're in the middle of my reading, and she's like, what does this symbol mean to you? And I think I'll just insert a picture of the book because I have it. And she goes, you're dreaming about this? And he goes, yes. And she goes, okay, yeah, you're definitely in the middle of a spiritual awakening. Your Kundalini, you've woken up your Kundalini, your third eye is opening, both of you. And so while he's in his reading, I'm having something else happening to me. I was walking around the store, and they had a store copy of this book, right? And the owner sees me pick it up, and I just go, Mount Shasta. She goes, did you just say Mount Shasta? And I said, yeah. I said, I picked up the book. I heard the name Mount Shasta, which is crazy because I've been wanting to go there since I was a kid, and I just forgot about it. And she goes, I think you're meant to go to this Mount Shasta. And she goes, do you know that place calls to you? It's been calling to me since I was a kid. And she goes, interesting. She goes, maybe you're supposed to go there this year. And she goes, I can order you a copy of this book. And because I couldn't take the store copy. First of all, it was a store copy, and it was damaged because so many people had read through it, right? So she orders me the copy. I get it within a week. And the crazy thing about that copy, and I kind of wish I kept it, is it had the violet flame of Saint Germain in there twice. And I felt like now that I look back at it from this point to there, so many people have told me you should have kept that copy and ordered a second one. Because the reason why is that misprint, even when I took it back and showed the owner, she goes, that is rare. This never happens. And I said, interesting, because when I read about the violet flame and everything I know about it now, it's all about transmutation, transformation, and all that. And it's linked to Mount Shasta, which is also in this book. And so we did go to Mount Shasta that year. I will do a separate video on that because not just the Kundalini was waking us up, Mount Shasta changed my life. And while we were on that mountain, the only thing I will touch on is we didn't have the expectation to be vegetarian. But when we were on that mountain, we became vegetarian. And if you know anything about Mount Shasta, it's the root chakra of the earth. So we were led there spiritually. And while we were there, we became vegetarian. And it was a very profound trip. Very deep. Again, it deserves its own video because so much happened on that mountain. When we came back, we were vegetarian. We were full-blown in our spiritual awakening. That house we moved into, we knew that we were going to have to leave. We would have to move out because we were losing clients that year too. Anything that was not aligned with our path was somehow being taken out from our path. So there were some clients that I guess that were not aligned, and they were our biggest clients. Like they were paying like tens of thousands of dollars a year, and they were taken out of our, like one somehow sold their like multi-million-dollar house, and the other one had a son-in-law come back from Honduras that said he was going to do the yards. And we were both looking at each other. We're like, when it comes to fall, we're going to have to move because there's no way we're going to be able to sustain living here. It's like our initiation was in that house. We were trying to look for a place, but we didn't. We put out feelers and things. But at the same time, again, I went back to the bookstore now to pick up the second copy of this book. And she was telling me, this time, she goes, you got to hear about this guy, Bratzo. He gazes at you, and you have this miraculous, like something happens to you. Like every person is different. Some people feel healed, but they feel like an energy pass through them. And I was like, okay. I was like, where is this Bratzo? Is he doing like a convention, or is he like doing some kind of event? And she goes, no, it's going to be in Portland, and I think you and your partner should go. And I was like, okay. So I went back home and I told my ex about it, and I was like, should we go to this? And I told him like, this is what's going on. And he's like, okay, maybe we should try. He goes, where is it? I said, Portland. And so we're like, okay, well, we just came back from Mount Shasta. It's going to be very, easy for us to pack up everything and go with dogs. And we had someone watch the cats for us. And so we left, and it was a weekend thing. And I paid for us to have gazings with Bratzo for multiple times. It was so life-changing that both of us decided that we should go to the one in Idaho. So we came back to Canada, did our work, and then on that Friday left for Idaho. Crazy. And when we were in Idaho, it was a smaller group, and the lady that was doing she would do the transmission, like the talk, before Bratzo would come in, because Bratzo was in that exalted state where he doesn't speak. He just gazes at people. Like, he just stands in the center and gazes, and people feel stuff. Some people have like an emotional break. Some people feel like there's something happening to them. When you're in the presence with a higher vibrational being, and I do truly believe that there's some people walking on this earth right now that are very, very, very high vibration, and this guy was one of them for sure. I started having like visions and colors, like depth of colors, and I still see these depths of colors that I don't think other people see. Because I've tried to describe it, and some people say, "Oh, it's 5D, it's 5D." And so that also happened to me that year. This is all 2013. And I remember this. And so we were there, and the woman that was doing the transmission, she kept wanting to hand the microphone to me. She didn't do it just once. She didn't do it just twice. She did it 3 times, tried to pass me a microphone at 3 different times, because she was very intrigued with like with us for some reason, and with me. And I was not ready to share my story. So my ex did. He shared some stuff that was happening to him, and we went about our day. But she emailed us and said, "I really want Pam to speak. I really want her to say something." So we were invited to a live stream. We're in the middle of coming back from Idaho. We knew we had to pack up. We knew we had to do basically like a quick move out of that house. We gave our notice, whatever. We had to move. And because the hydro bill was coming up to $1,800 a month, we were being financially drained. Things were falling apart. But at the same time, spiritually, things were waking up. It was crazy. When you want to talk about tower moment, this was the year of the tower falling. And we got back. We're in the middle of packing. She's telling us to come on to live stream. I was like, okay, let's do it. Got onto live stream. I realized that there was tens of thousands of people watching, and I gave my story, which I do believe now is the segue that led me to doing YouTube, because I was not afraid now to share my voice, and that also changed me. And many psychics even years later told me that, I meant to share my journey, because it helps to awaken those, and those that are going through spiritual awakenings can understand it from someone that has experienced it. Because every single person that's ascending to a higher consciousness is going to go through different levels of spiritual awakening, and some can last for a very long time. They're not an overnight, you wake up and bam. No, you start questioning, like, who am I? Why is this happening to me? All that stuff. And that was what was happening to us in 2013, which later set us on a solo journey. And obviously I'm going to share more about that in other videos, because I've been single since my separation and divorce since 2017. I feel like this is where I can share in depth. So when we got back, the whole Bratzo thing happened. Everything was good. I felt kind of liberated. We moved into the RV, and we stayed there until this house opened up miraculously. And it's like the universe cleared everything that wasn't aligned to bring in better. And it also set me up to where I was about to be heading. So obviously I'm going to stop this video here because it's been 20 minutes, but I'm going to be sharing more about that. Oh, and one more thing before I go. Remember I told you that that meditation that I got, even till this day, does weird things? Well, I remember specifically, I had this couch that you see behind me over on that wall over there, and I was sitting and meditating, and I remember I was in meditation, I was doing the Shiv Yoga meditation, and I feel like I'm in this deep place where my body and me, it's just consciousness, like this oneness feeling. And I hear a noise, and it brings me back to here. It brings me back to like my living room, and I open my eyes, I'm like, what was that? I look, and it's dark. I do my meditations pitch black. It was like 10 o'clock at night, and I look to see outside my patio, and I see this silhouette of a bird. And I'm thinking, okay, there's no seagulls going to be flying around. It's 10 o'clock at night, even though we have seagulls all the time. And then I turned on like a little light, and the light flashed on the bird. It was an owl. and I live at the beach, and I was stunned. And I've been told when an owl comes to you, especially during meditation, to pay attention because it's bringing a spiritual message. And it landed on my patio, but I'll never forget that. And I don't do the Shiv Yoga meditation often because I know how powerful it is. And to me, yeah, the spirit world does send signs. And a lot of signs started happening after my Kundalini awakening. And obviously, I'm going to share more about that in depth as we talk more about my journey. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. I will do a second video just based specifically on Mount Shasta and this book. And in that, obviously, I'll include more information of what happened while we were at Mount Shasta. But that's a very sacred journey that I went on because it set the tone for where I am now. If you want to hear that story, then please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.